Hello, Earth and Space Science students. We are in the home stretch for Unit 3. This is our first instructional video for the last week, week 5 here. And this is kind of following your study guide. So kind of like I did last week, retrospective, what did we learn about this unit? We talked a lot about the beginning, the different layers of the Earth. We got the crust, we got the mantle, we got the inner outer core. Things are hotter as you get farther down. There are also more pressure as we get farther down due to gravity and lots of stuff going on down there. And then really the big focus of learning in that second week when we were talking about layers of the Earth was convection currents. We didn't talk about them a ton because it's a thing that we'll learn about the whole year, but it's really, really important to the rest of the units. Remember, convection currents is that cycling that happens in the mantle, and that happens because the core is really hot, the crust is not as hot. And so the bottom of the mantle that touches the core, really hot, top not so much. And things, as you find out, as you learn more about the Earth, we like to be the same temperature. Air does it, water does it, so does the mantle. And so they try and mix to become one temperature, and it causes this convection current, this cycling, where the hot stuff goes up, the cold stuff goes down. And that cycling is what drives plate tectonics, which makes things move, against each other, away from each other, whatever. That's what's causing the plates on top of the mantle to move because of that movement in the mantle of those currents. So that leads to the movement of plates. It also leads to what we call the cycling of matter, or of those plates. So when two plates hit each other, right, that's a converging boundary. One of them stays on top, the less dense one, the more dense one sinks down. And where does that crust go? Well, it goes back into the mantle. And the mantle is kind of like that viscous solid. So it's a little gooey, so to speak. And so that crust, which was completely solid, now starts to, I want to use the word melt. It's not really melt, but it becomes like the rest of the mantle and becomes a little bit gooey as well because it's hotter down there. And so it can turn into that magma that we see as it comes up as lava here on the surface of the Earth, and it'll kind of melt back in. That's why the sea, so we know that the sea floor is spreading, right? We looked at that last week, but this is not like the sea floor is getting any bigger, because as one side of that plate is spreading, getting new plate, the other side is subducting and basically going back into the mantle, kind of melting down, if you will, so that it can be reused over again. That's a really key idea. And that was really what we talked about in week 2 and a little bit last week as well. The middle thing that we kind of did in week 3 was talking about the plate boundaries, convergent, divergent, and transform, and some of the features that they made, like volcanoes and earthquakes and mountains and ridges and trenches and things like that. Your study guide, before we kind of get there, this video talks about why the magnetism of the Earth flips occasionally, because that ties into how we kind of use it to date the ocean floor. We talked about that last week. And then there's those EDU candy games that you can play to help you study if you'd like. Remember, I think you can play all of them except the crossword. And I'll talk more about your study guide here in this video. So yeah, tune in for that. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.